you hit this room, Tim? You did? Okay. Once I get to this first break, I'll put the dog in one of the bedrooms.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports 97.5 and 1240 KFH, this is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
Well, hey there, strangers. Welcome back into Sports Daily. It's been a minute since last Wednesday, and to say that there have been things happening would be a bit of an understatement. Glad to be here back with you on a Monday, ready to rock and roll into the month of December. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving break. Got to celebrate, got to stuff your face, watch all the sports, do all those things. We're glad to have you here with us. Jacob Albrocht here alongside Tommy Kester. Jad Chambers producing. He's got the IHOP hotline handled for you. Official breakfast partner, by the way, of Xbox, celebrating with exclusive Xbox merchandise, games, reward offers. 869-1240 is that number to call. We've got Wyatt Thompson joining us next segment. Talk about all things K-State. Disappointing game up there in Ames for the football team. So we'll get to the end of their season. We'll look ahead to bowl season. We'll look ahead to next season. A lot of recruiting news, maybe not that Wyatt can get into, but that we can. So we'll do that, as well as the basketball team setting a scoring record yesterday, which is pretty interesting, I think, opponent notwithstanding. So we'll have all that coming for you. Of course, we're going to talk Chiefs. We're going to talk the NFL yesterday. We're going to talk college basketball, KU's disappointing football weekend. It is all here for you. We are jam-packed and ready to roll. I feel jam-packed in my stomach, Tommy. It's just been, it's a lot. You know, you gotta power through a little bit. And you know, after the leftovers yesterday and all the, still haven't gotten through all the pumpkin pie, which is a good problem to have. But, you know, we're making it through.
Well, you know, we turn around real quick and it's Christmas. You know, I think that's part of it. And usually I feel like there's a little bit more of a gap. We had a late Thanksgiving this year. And so Christmas is like 3 weeks away, just over 3 weeks away. So we got to turn right around and do that. So I feel you. There's been a lot that's gone on. You know, even things that I'm sure we won't have time to get to today on the show, like the college football playoff rankings, and just there's so much going on right now. We were talking yesterday about how it felt like an eternity ago that the Chiefs played, and it was just on Friday. We haven't had the show in a while, so we've got a lot to get to.
Eternity, and that wasn't that long ago. We'll hit this all because, you know, Chiefs fans are more worried than ever, despite another win. Of course, that's the way things go. We get, you know, more of the power shifts and swings yesterday in the NFL too. And I think we start probably there because we'll be getting into college football largely next. Real quick, Tommy, best Thanksgiving food. Like, what is your favorite part of the Thanksgiving food? Because mine, I think it's either mashed potatoes, like really good ones, or pumpkin pie. Man, I just have had a lot of pumpkin pie in the last few days.
You know, I usually would say stuffing. I'm a big stuffing guy. Honestly, though, like I'm okay with turkey. I'm usually fine with it.
Yeah, I like turkey. It's fine.
I did it. I did turkey this year. I did the turkey, and it was phenomenal. Like, not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. Like, I could do that all the time. So that has lifted itself up into, probably at least my top 3, maybe even higher than that.
Yeah, I think the issue most people have with turkey is it can be dry, which makes it the perfect sandwich meat.
Right.
But if it's not, the amount of effort that has to go into it, I think turns people away.
It was a significant amount of work. I'm not gonna even sugarcoat that, but it was worth it. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad everybody, whatever it is, however it is that you celebrate, I'm glad you got to do that. We went and took the family up to their first KU game on Saturday against Furman, so that was fun. We buzzed up and buzzed down. They partied hard and loved it, and it was even less energy than is typically in that building, I'll say, against Furman. But it was still great. I mean, it was crowded. But it wasn't like you're getting the goosebumps of a crazy game. It was weird. Furman comes out and hits all those early threes, and that kind of deflated it a little bit. And then all of a sudden you look up and Kansas is up by 20 and you're like, what, how did that even happen? But it was fun. It was cool for them to get to see it. It was a great weekend. Glad to have everybody back. Tommy, yesterday in the NFL, we see things that scare us if we're Chiefs fans, I think. Certainly most recently, the Buffalo Bills and the way they dominated San Francisco, who was relatively healthy. And I know Christian McCaffrey went down in the first half, but Christian McCaffrey was not going to make up the difference in that game. I can tell you that with certainty. So that I think is the scariest thing happening. If you're a Chiefs fan, is what's happening with Buffalo. Philadelphia gets the best of Baltimore, who all of a sudden Justin Tucker can't kick field goals, or we'd have a very different game there probably. Those are teams that we're looking at to be major contenders. The Chargers win, the Steelers win, the Texans just kind of survive again. I think they're becoming less and less threatening as they inch by or lose to bad teams. Indianapolis stays alive, and we'll see Denver tonight. I don't know that we had a lot of things change. I think the teams we sort of feared, we continue to fear, maybe even a little bit more so, and that would maybe be the change, but that has as much to do with the way the Chiefs are playing as it does the way anybody else is playing, outside of probably Buffalo.
The Buffalo Bills are for real. I mean, first and foremost, full stop, they are fantastic. Josh Allen, in my mind, solidified the MVP award last night in that performance. And I really have been impressed. It's been fun to watch what Saquon Barkley has done with the Eagles, and he makes them a legitimate title contender. And so that's been really cool. I'd love to see a running back get the MVP award, but it's Josh Allen's award to lose. And the show that he put on last night, and I saw a lot of people talking about on social media, well, Buffalo, they're used to playing in the snow and the conditions and the weather. I don't care if there's snow or not. The Bills win that game by that large a margin 100 times out of 100. Yeah. Like they outclassed the 49ers regardless of the weather conditions. And Josh Allen put on a show last night. That was fun to watch. The Bills are, we've always known that they're a dangerous team. They've gotten better as the season has gone on. Allen has gotten more comfortable with his weapons as the season has gone on, for sure. And that defense is rounding into form as well. So they're absolutely a dangerous team. They are, and we know this, obviously, they beat the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago. They are the number one team, I think, that could threaten the Chiefs' three-peat opportunities. And there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and it becomes how heavy a favorite probably are they. I think they're becoming a heavy favorite. There are other teams, I think, that will. It's going to be a crowded mess. And the question is becoming like, are the Chiefs going to be able to hang with this collection of teams? I think for me anyway. And the good news is, like the Steelers, for example, that I've told you for weeks, I'm very afraid of just stylistically for the Chiefs. We get to see them play the Chiefs. We get to see them play the Chargers again. We get to see them play Denver again and Houston. So some of these teams, we'll see how the Chiefs hold up. I was on Friday overnight on the Infinity Sports Network across the country, and we talked a lot of Chiefs. That wasn't even my intention, because it's not just around Chiefs Kingdom now. Everybody feels like they're vulnerable, and everybody feels like they're going to go down. And I will say that probably favors the Chiefs. And the other thing that I'll continue to say is, with 5 games to play. Like, I'm not backing off saying I think the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl yet, because I think there's still time for them to tweak. Now, if we get into a game again, Tommy, where Andy Reid in that kind of matchup doesn't run the ball, it just doesn't make any sense. Isaiah Pacheco, we saw, what was it, his first carry? Maybe it was his second carry, right? Instantly, it's like, that's the explosion in the running game we've been talking about. That's what they, that is right there. It is. Boom. Like, it was just right out of the gates. And then they just stopped running the ball with him or Hunt. 14 carries in a close game against the Raiders.
And how many of those 14 carries, by the way, were in the first half? I think that they only had maybe 5 or 6 rushing attempts in the second half. Overall, 80% of their plays called in that game were pass plays.
It's the same thing that happened against the Panthers. And I do understand why it's happening, because they're finding some success in the pass game. That's why they're doing it. Mahomes looked pretty good, 306. But the reality,
one-dimensional. It makes you one-dimensional. It makes you predictable.
It's not even that, because you can be predictable. If they're better in the red zone, that's not a close game. That's another big concern. The problem for me is when you do that and the game script goes that way, it does 2 things. Mahomes throws it 46 times, which means there's 46 times he has an opportunity to get sacked and hit on a play. Don't like that. And it's real obvious right now the defense is struggling. Keep them off the field. Like, they're a problem right now. You can, Steve Spagnuolo can say it's third downs and things in the Carolina game. Well, what was it against the Raiders? And the problem is, they held the Raiders to 10 points in the first half. All right, sorry, 3 points in the first half. And then they scored 2 second half touchdowns. But they're moving the ball. And the Chiefs must play ball control now. For 1,000 reasons, they need to be playing ball control. And the only way they're going to do that is by running the ball. And the red zone thing has to be better, obviously. And I think it can be. But gosh, dang, it just doesn't make any sense. And as you watch these other teams, like I watched that game for Buffalo last night. Let's think about the Buffalo game for just a second. Let's pretend that game is in Buffalo in January or in Arrowhead. Doesn't really matter. Wouldn't you like to know the Chiefs can line up and run it 30 times in that game? Because that's what it's going to take in that game. And not only that, that's a formula to win that game, right? They could not, those players couldn't get their own feet. Like, running the ball is the ticket in a game like that. So with 5 weeks left to go, man, I'd love to see the Chiefs run the dang ball.
Yeah, I've got a ton of thoughts about the Chiefs. Something hit me when I was watching the game on Friday, and it became crystal clear to me. We don't have time to get into it right now. I want to talk about it later, because it to me, it encapsulates everything going on with the Chiefs and what we can look ahead to in the last 5 weeks of the regular season and the postseason. For me, and it centers around Isaiah Pacheco coming back and Charles Omenihu coming back. What that means for the Chiefs, really, it's all solidified now in my mind. I've got a lot of thoughts about it. I know we don't have time right now. I want to talk about it later. But I think it's big, and I think it will tell us what we need to know about this team.
It will. Look, we're going to have a lot of Chiefs talk coming up throughout the show. We're going to try to cram everything in. We're going to have Wyatt Thompson in. We'll cover a little college football, a little college basketball next. We'll get to KU as well. But we're going to spend some time with the Chiefs, because people are worried. The Buffalo game last night was just another slap in the face of the concern for Chiefs fans right now. And there's a long way to go in this regular season. I can't say that enough. These seasons are long for a reason. And sometimes I think we overlook that aspect of the NFL. There have been points of this season where the Chiefs were the clear favorite. And then we're in the middle part of the season right now, and the Chiefs are not the clear favorite. Who knows what will happen at the end of the season? But we'll get into all of that. 869-1240 is your number to call to get in touch with the program. Appreciate Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us warm. Stay warm out there, everybody. It's going to be a nice week. A little chilly today, though. So thanks to Prairie Fire for being a part of the show. Wyatt Thompson joins next. Don't go away. Sports Daily coming right back.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch. 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSCW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
time, Sports Daily, getting all the inside information on Kansas State. Let's go now to the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson.
And welcome back, everybody. Sports Daily here on KFH. Glad to be with you on a Monday, post-Thanksgiving. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor, Wyatt Thompson, voice of the Wildcats. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're not still in a food coma there, Wyatt. I'm 50-50.
Are you?
Yeah.
I would say I could even be as high as 60-40.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how bad I was. At our little gathering here in Manhattan, they had 3 pies. I had a couple of slices of the 3. I had a little bit of the apple, way too much more pecan, and I guess you wouldn't say you're proud that you let the pumpkin go, but I didn't have any pumpkin. So I was bad. I'm not going to lie.
I'm a huge pumpkin pie.
But my son-in-law was really bragging about the pecan pie, so I decided to give up the pumpkin and try it. Didn't have the heart to tell him I made a bad mistake.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go pumpkin. You do.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
100%.
you gotta go pumpkin.
Absolutely.
But that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
I
You
joked.
guys good?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
joked. I had pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving Day. I had pumpkin pie. Then I had cheesecake, and then I had pumpkin pie cheesecake.
Oh,
that
my.
night that I ran into. Yeah. So it is what it is. We'll survive it. It's a good weekend. Not as good for K-State football. Can't get it done. We look at a Big 12 championship game now. Iowa State, Arizona State. The Big 12 needs a Boise loss if it wants to get back up into a bye consideration. Before we dig into the Iowa State, before we dig into Farmageddon, Iowa State, Arizona State. Arizona State's a slight favorite. What do you think of either of these teams' chances to do anything in the postseason, as the Big 12 will be the power league that gets the least in this first year?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a bum deal, to be perfectly honest. And I admit that there's some bias there, no question about it. I really think these two teams that are in in the championship game could do a really good job in a playoff scenario. And I guess you guys would agree with me on this. I think Arizona State's as hot as anybody in America.
I like Arizona State.
I love their quarterback. He's only going to get better, and he's tough as nails. He's been highly productive. Yes, it helps when you've got a running back that can get 5 yards every time he touches the ball. They did have an injury to Jordan Tyson, and I don't know how severe it is yet at this point. I haven't heard a whole lot yet this morning. That would be a factor for them, though, honestly. He's very, very, very good. But at the line of scrimmage, I think they're as underrated as anybody in our league, honestly. They are playing very well. No doubt about it.
Wyatt, let's go back and talk Kansas State football from over the weekend, and just from a 30,000-foot view with the state of the program right now, barring whatever the bowl game outcome is, the Wildcats finished the regular season at least with a record of 8-4. They started the year 7-1. It's been a rough month for Kansas State. Chris Kleiman, after the game on Saturday, talked quite a bit about the consistency overall of this program and the number of wins year by year. Outside of that 1 year in 2020 that the program has achieved. And, of course, it's a roller coaster, every single year throughout the course of the year. He was definitely, I think, defending the overall consistency of the program in a state or in a situation where I know a lot of fans are lamenting missed opportunities where it felt like this team could do more than that. What's your overall takeaway of where, Chris Kleiman is talking about the program being, and then contrast that with kind of where the fan base is?
Well, you talked about so much there. I'm just going to be honest. What we have going on right now is both.
Yeah.
I really firmly believe that. I am a big believer in Chris Kleiman and how he goes about his job. You are absolutely on task that we were 7-1 rolling along and finished very flat. No one would deny that. The game against Iowa State, I think, is the perfect example. I walked away from that game, guys, and maybe you won't agree with all of this that I'm about to say, but I walked away from that saying, dang, we were every bit as good, if not better than they were, and didn't win the game. I mean, that's how I felt. I mean, we gave them 2 short fields. You have a field goal blocked. Your defense plays good enough to win the game. You're just making too many mistakes. And that has been the pie flavor of the month, if you will, here. We were talking about that a moment ago. There's too many mistakes, not enough consistency since the 7-1 start. Now, the 8-win thing, you can't deny that either. There's nobody else in our league that's done that over that time that you talked about, Tommy. That's the truth. So it is both. But I get the frustration because I think we all have it, and I think that's why Chris Kleiman talked about it. You don't think he's not frustrated? I can promise you he is, without a doubt.
It's not an unsuccessful season. I think, you feel frustrated because they certainly could have beaten Houston, and you can see where that goes. I'm willing to accept the other 3 losses. Those are all to teams that are at the top. They're the top 3 teams in the conference. So, is K-State in reality the 4th best team? It doesn't really matter. They'll play their bowl game, they'll move on. It doesn't really matter because the future is everything for this team. We were just tantalized a little bit about the present. It's a team that should get better. We've got a recruiting thing happening right now with the crown jewel that we'll see, but it looks like, maybe that could change a little bit. But the reality is it's all about these young players becoming upperclassmen. Are they all, from what you can tell, bought in, ready to full steam ahead? Because if they are, then the transfer portal makes this team that much better potentially. Or do you see any dissent and guys maybe taking a step into that portal from K-State?
You know what? I don't necessarily see any dissent, Jacob, and it's a great question. But I'm not going to be naive enough to sit here and tell you that they're not going to have some flip and some turnover. Everybody is going to have that. And I mean everybody. From Alabama to Kansas State to whoever you want to name, it's what this is now. This is so different with money being on the table for the first time for these guys. They're going to go shopping and get what they want to get. Yeah. And you know what? To a large degree, can you really blame them? No. Whether you like it or whether you don't, this is the platform that they've built and the one that they're standing on. And I just firmly believe that. I know there's been a lot of talk out there about Jace Brown. I can honestly tell you this. I can make a case that he will be back, and I can make a case that he's going to jump into the portal whenever. I really like the young man. I do. And he's probably, without question, K-State's best receiver. He is playing a long way from home. He's a Florida guy. He's talked about, openly talked about the fact that he, grew up a Gator fan and would like to play there. If they're going to show some interest, so is he. I'm not trying to create controversy. I'm just trying to be honest. Yeah. And I do think that there's, that kind of stuff going on. But you know what? Let's just cut to the chase here. Bottom line is, a verbal commitment means squat right now, period.
Yeah, that's just kind of the state of college athletics in general right now, Wyatt. Let's talk Avery Johnson for a little bit.
Yeah.
It definitely, I feel like this was a growing season for Avery in a lot of different ways, where you saw the great, you saw the reasons why, he's so highly heralded as a potential star quarterback in college football. Down the stretch, you saw the age, I think, show up a little bit. You got to take the good with the bad, I guess, as he's growing up and maturing and finding his way in this league. And especially, I think, in the game on Saturday, that was kind of a microcosm, I think, of just his season. There were some spectacular plays, but then there were some plays where, he did look like a young quarterback.
Yeah. And I think we expected that, honestly. I think when you look at this entire regular season for Avery, I think you see a lot of different things. If you look just strictly at the numbers, generally speaking, they're not bad. I think you'd take them. If you go back to August and say, okay, he's going to throw this many touchdowns, this many interceptions, have this kind of completion percentage, an 8-4 record, all of that would have probably been acceptable except the very last one. Most people were thinking and hoping that this team would be 10-2 or better. Don't you agree? I mean, I just think because of him, because of Dylan Edwards, because of DJ Giddens, all of those guys back on the defensive side, the expectations here were high. And that goes back to what we talked about before with Coach Kleiman. He's created that because he's won a lot of football games, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it does hurt when you don't quite get to where you want. But Avery, I believe, I'm just speaking on my terms now, I expected to see some ups and downs because he is so youthful. Gifted, no question. One thing that I do appreciate is when I got on the plane the other night and walked by him to get to my seat, I could see the pain in his face. And I think that's what you want to see. You know, I learned a long time ago from Coach Snyder, man, when you invest a lot in it and you don't have success, it hurts. And then he would add this, and it should. If you care about it and it means something to you, when you don't have success, it should hurt. And I felt like I saw that hurt. I think the kid's going to be really good. But there were some plays the other night that you'd love to have back. I mean, he steps out of bounds 2 yards shy of a first down that they needed, and he probably could have got the first down. You know, the the safety, those kind of things. You just got to get rid of that thing, man, and quicker. But that's experience, and I think he'll get better at it. I mean, I can give you examples of guys that I've seen go through the same thing in our league, and Rocco Becht, I think, is a perfect example of that. Look where he's at compared to where he was when he first started. Just like Avery in a lot of ways, and yet I think Avery has more just God-given skill set. Honestly.
It's interesting. I'm going to give a tip of the cap to the K-State fan on X for putting this together, and I'll trust him. He compared all of the K-State quarterbacks who played a lot as sophomores, and he stacked them up. And it's, you know, when you talk about as a passer, it's very comparable to what Josh Freeman did.
Yes.
And when you talk about as a runner, it's very comparable to Colin Klein. When you talk about the total package, Alex Delton's season rings a bell. But when you look at quarterback rating, it's the highest. Touchdown to interception ratio is fine. Completion percentage is right there with all of them, except Josh Freeman was a tick higher. Like, it's all there. He's a sophomore. Right. And I think if you told me that Avery Johnson would have played more as a freshman, and we can all be revisionists, but if he'd have played more as a freshman, he'd have been better this year. It's a tough balance. He's not, there's nothing wrong with his trajectory. No. And so as I'm with everybody else, I'm disappointed in the outcome of the season, but there shouldn't be anything that's got us off the same trajectory we had for Avery Johnson. He just put together one of, if not the best sophomore seasons any K-State quarterback who's played as a sophomore has ever played.
It's perfectly said. And the guy you referenced, I think I saw the same stuff that you're talking about, and I thought it was pretty accurate, to be real honest, real accurate, really. And I remember Josh Freeman, and I remember going to practice, and virtually every day, you know, you'd see 6, 8, 10 scouts there to watch. I'll remind everybody that guy was a pro. He played a while in the league. He had really good arm talent, excellent. But we've all said it all along. You know, Avery has the ability to do both and be elite at both, and that's just so rare, right? I've been here 23 seasons. I've said this before. I've seen a lot of really talented guys that I was excited about, but there's never really been anybody quite at this level, skill set wise. He just, you know, what did he lack coming into the year? Experience.
Yep.
Had a little dabble of it. And Jacob, you're right. Had he played more, but what are you going to do? Take a guy that took you to the 22 title and put him on the bench? Yeah. You can't really do that either.
Certainly seems like, Wyatt, that, you know, especially in the last month or so when Kansas State finished flat, that there were some things that were, I don't know, uncharacteristic about this team that I think is probably part of the reason why, you know, the fan base in some cases, they're up in arms, because it's things that they're, you know, really you're not used to seeing happen with the Kansas State program. Things like, you know, costly turnovers. That's one thing that just really, you know, you don't see a ton of historically with Kansas State football. Special teams miscues. That's a huge thing that really hasn't been part of an identity for Kansas State football over the years. And I'm sure that there are things that, things like that, that as the, get into bowl season, then you get into the off season, get ready for next year, that, you can look back on and say, okay, those are things that are, again, uncharacteristic of this program and that we absolutely have to clean up for next year.
Well, and I think there's a lot on the table with that, Tommy, to be honest with you. As an example, I know Nate Katzer, the special teams coordinator, has probably taken quite a hit from, the social media stuff and all of that. I don't see a lot of that, but what's out there, as it is with Connor Riley and it is with the radio announcer and the head coach and whatever it might be. When you don't have success, you're going to get criticized. It's just the nature of it. But at the end of the day, I always have loved football because I think it's the hardest game to be consistent and win at, just because you have some division with special teams, offense, defense, and you have to put it all together. And sometimes it goes great. And when it is going great, man, it seems easy. And we know it's not. And when it isn't going as well, boy, you point to everything. And you mentioned special teams. And it's everything across the board in special teams. Snapping, and they've got a good snapper. Holder, same. Kicking, same. Punting, same. Returns, same. They've all needed to be better. It's just the truth. Offensive line inconsistencies, a young quarterback making some mistakes, are they good enough at receiver? I've heard that too. And I think you can make an argument that some days they are and some days they aren't, coverage in the secondary, those types of things. So I guess we all have warts is the point, but they have not been as consistent in the latter third of the year as they were in the first 2/3 from everybody's perspective, I'd say.
They're going to have time to think about it. We'll see about bowl games. There'll be a lot of speculation. I think this weekend we can sort of all enjoy and become Big 12 fans in general and hope that the Big 12 makes noise in that tournament. I'm a little bummed, I'm going to be honest, that Colorado is not going to find a way in. That would have been the most exciting. But Arizona State with their quarterback play, what they've got going is pretty impressive between coach and quarterback and everything else. Let's talk a little hoops here real quick, Wyatt. 120 points yesterday. I don't think you ever sneeze at 120 points, opponent notwithstanding, especially when you talk about a team who's still very much trying to find it right now. I think the emergence of the freshman David Castillo is something to, perk our ears up to a little bit. What did you make of that, and can it help what has ailed this team early in the year?
I think it can definitely help. Let's look at the downside first. UAPB is not very good. They had been 0-7 on the road. If I'm being perfectly blunt, they have very little interest in playing defensive basketball. They just don't, right? They just don't. I mean, think about the line, and I talked to him about this on and off the air yesterday with Doug McDaniel. He has 18 points, which is awesome. He had 10 assists, which you hardly noticed. I mean, it's his first career double-double. He also had 5 steals and with 4 turnovers, but he's playing better. So many guys are. I think this is still a team that we don't know for sure what they're going to be, but I think they feel like, in visiting with them yesterday after the game, that they're starting to figure out some things. And you can see a little more definition with roles, better movement. That's the thing. I mean, to me, the 30 assists on 40 made field goals yesterday stands out. And the fact that they were getting good threes, take away the competition. Give me some good threes when we go to St. John's and play good defense and rebound the ball and give yourself a chance. If you do that, now you can probably say, okay, they are kind of starting to get there and maybe figure some things out. But this will be a real test between now and December 30th, guys, because you've got the game in St. John's. Then you've got Drake in Kansas City. You've got Wichita State down there at Coke. Those are 3 games that are going to be hard. You guys have followed Wichita State, I'm sure. I don't know if you've noticed Drake at all, but Ben McCollum's really good, and he's got a veteran team. They're not real athletic, but they know how to play good basketball. And St. John's is just you shake your head a little bit at how athletic they are. They're pretty good. So there are tests ahead, and we're going to find out. And then you got Cincinnati coming in here to start conference play, and I can assure you they'll be quite good.
Oh,
they're good.
It seems like an eternity ago, but it was a week ago when Kansas State, they were in the Paradise Jam. They were playing Longwood, getting ready for the 3rd place game. It was right after we had our conversation a week ago. Coleman Hawkins had his first double-double as a Wildcat, 19 points, 10 boards. He talked after the game about how he felt like he had been overthinking a lot in coming to this program and fitting into Jerome Tang's system and all of that. And I would imagine from your perspective, Wyatt, him being able to sort of break out in that regard, especially entering into this stretch of basketball before conference play begins, is absolutely essential for this Wildcat program.
Yeah, and I don't take a whole lot of the line score that he had yesterday and say it was a step back because, one, he took 5 shots. What I think I see, and Coach Tang and I were talking about at shoot-around yesterday prior to the game, was he's just kind of finally letting it go and being who he is. He's being asked to play a little bit differently, and that I think has been a little bit of a bump in the road too, if I'm being honest. And the same for Doug McDaniel. Doug loves to score. He's not going to deny that. And yet they want him to be kind of a pass first point guard and yet score too. And I think he has all the ability in the world to do that. So I do think we're seeing progress. But again, consistency is going to be the deal, like what we talked about with football. Can they go win, say, 2 of these next 3 or get all 3 of them, right? And set yourself up, with a right, wrong, or indifferent through all of it, a pretty decent non-con, and then get into a 20-league conference schedule that's going to be a headache most every time out.
Real quick, last basketball question, Wyatt. 43s in the game.
I know.
K-State seems right now, it seems kind of simple. When they shoot 3-pointers well, they're very good. When they don't, they are not. Is that something we should just sort of expect at this point?
Well, I think you should expect them to be pretty good at 3-point shooting if they do things that lead to good shots. I'll give you an example. I mean, we've all seen enough of Brendan Hawson to know that he can really shoot the ball. There are some times and stretches where some of his threes are not very good shots, right? But I'm looking at his line score from yesterday. Played 21 minutes, took 4 shots, made 3 of the 4, 5 of 6 at the foul line, 3 of 4 from 3. That's a little more than you want from him on a consistent basis, as opposed to 4 of 13 or 3 of 15, right? I'm not saying I don't want him to shoot 8 or 10 times. You do if they're good shots.
Yeah.
And he's stepping into threes. So all of that leads to do what you need to do offensively, which means screen, good hard cuts, ball reversal. If you really watched yesterday, I loved it because they were making that extra pass and getting layups and getting wide open looks. I mean, they even late in the game, you got, Taj Manning knocking down 2. And they were really good shots, wide open shots. Not everybody's going to defend like that team yesterday. I get that. But do what you do, and then I think you'll see that lead to a little bit more consistent offense. And I do think defensively, I'm still hanging my hat on that too. I think they can be good defensively if they're good in defensive transition. They've got to get better there.
All right, Wyatt, we appreciate it. We've got hoops now taking center stage till we learn about the bowl game, really. So I
Should
guess
know this next weekend, right?
Yeah, we'll transition it up and get ready and watch that Big 12 title game and be excited for whoever makes it through. But glad to have you back. Glad to be back in the groove, and we'll switch over to hoops full time here pretty quick.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm on a pie diet now for a while.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Aren't we all, right?
Yeah. There goes Wyatt.
Guys, thanks.
There was Wyatt Thompson, voice of the Wildcats. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the first hour. We got all kinds of stuff to get to today. We're going to give you a little HTO later in the show. All kinds of fun. Stick with us. It's Sports Daily. Monday Night Football tonight on KFH. Broncos hosting the Cleveland Browns. Tune in on the radio, 97.5 FM, 1240 AM. Or you can download the Odyssey app and just listen there. Search for KFH. We're coming right back.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here. Celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily here. Appreciate the support of Pep and Suter. Pep and Suter Remodeling. You can go to pepandsuter.com. They did, and I've mentioned this before, they did our work and our kitchen remodel over the summer, did a great job. Bid was the lowest by a pretty significant amount, and the quality of work was outstanding. Tommy, I got to, like, when you're like me, and you can be like, well, here's kind of what we want to do, and we had a designer help us, and they handed him this idea to take cabinets, cut them out, move them across the kitchen, use them somewhere else. So not only like was the bid lower, we didn't have to like buy new cabinets. They moved the ones we already had, which I didn't even know that was possible, by the way. So all kinds of creativity involved in that.
Sounds like something like straight out of HGTV or something.
Yeah, you always feel like you get excited about that, and then you get in there and you're like, oh, we'll do this and this and this, and then you get into it, and it's a different experience because you don't remember that, you know, it's intrusive. But again, they made that part of it easy on us. They gave us and left us access to our kitchen. Also didn't know that was possible. So we really appreciate them. Go to pepandsuterremodeling.com, or sorry, pepandsuter.com. It's Pep and Suter Remodeling, or give them a call, 316-573-6822. If you have any home improvement needs, we appreciate their support of the program and hope that you'll give them a call and at least take their bid. All right, Tommy. Hour number 2 is going to be wild. You know, I look around, and we'll get into the Chiefs when we start it. Then we'll get into KU and Shockers losing a tough game to Florida, but I don't know how much to take of that. That's going to take some. I still don't know how I'm really digesting that game. But I am looking around, and predictably, and it's not even incorrect, it's absolutely correct. Here comes all the Chiefs doubt. You know, can they do it? Are they even going to be able to win a playoff game? Like, all of those things are starting. Best thing that could have ever happened to the Chiefs. Best thing that could have ever happened. I think when you're close to it, we've been pointing out flaws and trying to analyze that for months. Now it's coming to a head in the national level, and I think that will add a little spark. And it's not even that they need a spark, Tom. The Chiefs don't need a spark, but it helps. It'll help them. You know, that doubt creeping in. We know what happens historically when the Chiefs get doubted, and Mahomes and all the numbers back it up.
I think it's an interesting thought. Like, do people feel less confident about the Chiefs at 11-1?
Yes.
Or less confident about the Chiefs at what were they, 9-6?
Well,
last year on Christmas, you know what I mean? I think that it's kind of different. Like, it's different in both scenarios. Different circumstances led to where we are this year compared to where we were last year after that Christmas Day loss against the Raiders at home. Like, there's just a lot of things I think are hanging out there.
Yeah.
That make it, and really a lot of it comes down to the way that we've seen these other teams in the conference play, specifically the Bills, and what that means.
I think so, but I would tell you right now, and I've been on this for a while, I liked the team last year and the way they shaped up to the postseason at this point far more than I like this team, despite the fact that this team has a much better record. But it's been that way for me for a long time. Now I think people are catching up to not necessarily that, because I don't think everybody pays that close of attention to every team. That'd be silly to think that. But I do think we're entering this level where, like, I'll bet you if you took most people's power rankings, the Chiefs would not be in the top 3. Not be. And I think that's fair. Whether we agree with it or not, or whether we think that'll hold true, I think if we're taking that power ranking as of December 2nd, that's fair. I'm willing to accept it. But the one quality,
the Bills, the Lions, the Eagles, are those the top 3?
Probably for most people. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's that for me, but I think most people would probably put it that way. But I'll tell you, like, the one thing the Chiefs do better than anything else, their greatest quality, is not being factored in. We'll get into all of this when we come back. Hour number 2 on the show. On the way out, let's give you some HTO. You can win a free tea, free coffee. I will tell you, at Derby and Wichita East, you can get BOGO coffee, BOGO 50. So if you get one coffee, you can get another one for 50%. Through Thursday of this week. Again, that's East Wichita Derby, but you can win a free one and a free iced tea right now by texting the keyword T to the short code 20357, TEA 20357. You can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Good luck, everybody. We'll come back. We're talking Chiefs when we return on Sports Daily.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSCW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
And welcome back in. Glad to have you with us. We are back from the Thanksgiving break, back to, the groove, the grind as we make our way through conference championships in college football. We'll get the all-important CFP rankings very soon, which are going to be fascinating this week. We'll get into all of those things, talk a little college hoops, KU, talk a little Wichita State hoops. We got a lot to get to in the second hour. And, of course, the Chiefs we'll talk about in this segment. The IHOP hotline's back open for you at 869-1240, official breakfast partner of Xbox, celebrating with exclusive Xbox merchandise, games, reward offers for loyalty members. Glad to be here with you. It's Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester. All right, Tommy. As Rick, this is perfect timing. Rick says power rankings do not determine the winner. Of course it doesn't. It's not the point. And it's so, and again, like this is where I think Chiefs fans get really defensive. And we got to talk in reality right now. And right now, it does not look like the Chiefs are the best team in football. It just doesn't. What if where do you think, Tommy, and I don't know if you've looked at this, after yesterday, and unless something crazy happens tonight with Cleveland and Denver, where do you think the Chiefs rank right now in point differential in the NFL?
I know the answer to this question. They are, well, at least I know in their division, they're third in the division as
Correct.
of right now.
Yes.
They're behind the Chargers and the Broncos as far as point differential.
Do you know where they sit in the entire NFL?
They're probably in the bottom half, I'm guessing. I know they're
11th. They're 11th.
They're plus 54 in point differential right now, which is,
crazy.
I believe, the worst point differential in history from a team that's 11-1.
Now,
and it's not even particularly close.
Here's the thing though about that I will this is why with 5 weeks still to play, I would tell you that I'm not ready to fall off picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. They'll go through Arrowhead, which I think matters less probably for a team with this experience. It matters, but it's because it's almost because of that, right? They feel like they are impossible to put away. They do. And now some of these endings are fluky. Let's be real. The blocked field goal, that's fluky. I won't call the Raiders win fluky because the Raiders still had to make some plays in that game. And the Raiders, honestly, the Chiefs' deficiencies in the red zone in that game are the reason the Raiders ever had a chance to begin with. Like, it's all piling up. But no matter what it is, that's what they do the best, is they win close games. And it's not like Buffalo housed them. They did not. No team has. And they haven't housed a lot of people either. But what does that tell you? It tells you there's a high likelihood that the Chiefs are going to play a close game in every game they play. And if I told you the Chiefs are going to play a close game one way or the other, whether they're playing up or the opposition or they're playing down to the opposition, all you know is that these games are going to be close. Don't you like the chance of knowing Mahomes is the quarterback in close games? You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like that's, and I don't want to lose sight of the fact that is this team's greatest strength. It is that they figure out ways to win. All across the NFL, every single year, we watch teams figure out ways to lose. Chicago just fired a head coach because of one of the more mind-numbing end-of-games decisions. So, like, to know that the Chiefs don't deal with that part of it is a great strength for a postseason team. A great strength for a postseason team. Now, they have about 1,000 things they have to get better at between now and then, but at least you've got that one thing in your pocket, knowing they play exclusively close games.
And isn't that the most infuriating part? Because you know that there are things that could make this team better, just even as far as the execution, the play calling, things like that, the penalties, just things that pile up. This team, and it's kind of a trademark of the Chiefs, they play down to their opponents. It happens all the time. Yeah. We watched them play down to the Panthers, and no disrespect to Bryce Young, he played a great game.
They
but
looked good again yesterday too. Maybe they deserve a little more credit.
They played down to the Raiders, especially in the second half on Friday. I told you in the first hour while watching that game, I had an epiphany where it finally hit me. The Chiefs are who they are, and they're going to be who they are. It's not going to change. I remember leading up to the game on Friday, I said that I was looking at the return of Isaiah Pacheco to not only how it would impact the running game, but how it would impact the overall offense. I mentioned that Charles Omenihu returning. I was watching not only how it would impact the pass rush, but if it then would positively affect the entire defense. They may have helped their individual units, but it didn't do a thing, in my opinion, to either the overall offense or the overall defense. I've seen a lot of people talk about how Hollywood Brown's probably coming back in week 16 or week 17. We've been saying it for weeks. Wait until this team gets healthy. They're getting reinforcements. People are coming back. The team is who they are. And one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to find incredibly insane ways to let their opponents back into ball games and then find even more insane ways to ultimately pull out a victory, or it's all going to come crashing down when they get into the playoffs, and they're going to be exposed, and the deficiencies are going to be on full display, and they're not going to be able to have this miraculous situation that gets them a victory. One of those two things is going to happen. And you know what? There's precedent for that, because you go back to the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers. That was a team that, the Chiefs were good all season long, obviously, that everything ran through Arrowhead, all of that. Their deficiencies were exposed on the largest stage. Yeah. And it was the start of a reset for Kansas City, and they had to address the major deficiencies. The fact that this team continues to win, sort of, you can downplay the issues and the deficiencies a little bit. Well, look at their record. They're 11-1. They don't need to do anything different. They just need to do what they're doing. They've got Mahomes. They're going to be fine. Until it gets exposed big time and they end up walking away sort of with egg on their face, like what happened in the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, it doesn't force them to really address what's going on.
Yeah, I don't see. I think I feel a little bit differently about it, because I agree that they weren't exposed necessarily that year until the Super Bowl. Right. And I keep going back to the same thing. There's still a lot of season to play. They've been exposed. Everybody on the planet now, especially after the last 2 weeks, is noticing what we've been noticing for 2 months. And it's exposed, right? Now, they're still winning the games. It doesn't really matter because the deficiencies are exposed. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's been exposed early enough that at least they have the time. Now, whether they can get it fixed or not becomes the obvious question.
Behind their record and not have to be.
But who cares? Like, they don't care about. I don't think anybody within the organization is hiding behind a record. I think it's very clear. Now, Andy Reid, again, you got to understand that historically, Andy Reid says, like, we could go back and insert a press conference with Andy Reid from the last 10 years, and he would say literally the exact same thing.
Got to clean a few things up.
There's nothing. It's funny if you go back. I mean, he literally says the same words.
Right.
We don't get that vibe from Mahomes when you hear Mahomes talk. Like, it's very clear they've got to get better, and they have some time to do it. The obvious question is, can they? And that's the part I think is still up in the air for sure. Now, does getting Hollywood Brown help them? I don't know how much he's going, unless he becomes the league's smallest left tackle, probably not.
And on that note,
but even if he helps them a little bit in the red zone, that helps them a great deal.
But going back to what I mentioned with Pacheco and Omenihu, those two guys are valuable, and they were valuable for their own respective units. Rick points out that Omenihu back in the lineup helped Chris Jones get 2 sacks. That's great. It didn't help the overall defense, though. Like, it didn't help the secondary. His presence didn't make life better for the secondary. The defense is what they are. Isaiah Pacheco had a huge, 34-yard run. That was the best play probably from scrimmage, in the entire game. And they ran the ball 4 times in the second half, or 5 times in the second half. So he helped the running back, the running unit, the rushing unit. It didn't help the overall offense because they didn't lean on the running game. So I think that these guys, and Hollywood Brown can be the same way. He can help the passing game, but is it going to overall help the prospects of the team? Probably not. I think the team is what they are at this point. The one thing I will say is that, remember when things were really, really, bad, like vibes were bad with the Chiefs a year ago after that Christmas game, and Patrick Mahomes is throwing the tablet and Travis Kelce is getting in the face of Andy Reid and things like that. You saw a ton of frustration, where this season there really hasn't been that kind of frustration, because even though they've been deficient in areas, they're still 11-1. You saw frustration on Friday with the situation at left tackle and Patrick Mahomes not happy about the lack of protection from Wanya Morris, to the point to where Joe Thuney slid over and played left tackle.
He didn't look good out there either.
He didn't look good out there either, but it was like, it almost takes that with this team. It almost takes somebody like Patrick Mahomes having a blow up for things to start to move and change and shift and adjust and tweak. And we saw the changes, I feel like, start to happen last year when the blow-ups on the sideline began going on. I wonder if we'll see it this year, but at least they responded in that moment by saying, like, look, we know, even though Joe Thuney didn't play well at that position, it can't be Wanya Morris. Like, they're unplayable at that position.
Correct. And replacement value is better. So they'll just keep tweaking. And that's what I mean. Maybe Humphreys gets back in there. Maybe the undrafted rookie they pulled up from the practice squad gets back in there. Like, whatever it is, you just have to keep trying. But I do think, guys, let's take, because Amina Hughes' impact is more obvious and the impact he can make, right, in improvement. But let's not forget either, and this is not a knock on Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown is really good at what we continue, whatever the reason, whether it's Mahomes or Worthy or whatever it is, the missed connections on the deep balls. That's kind of what Hollywood Brown does too, right? So maybe they get a little better in that category, and maybe Worthy is used a little bit differently right now while they work on some of these other things. And so I don't want to downplay getting healthy, because it will help. Again, the red zone is a problem. If they're better in the red zone in that game is not close. And so it's all these little things, and but man, there's a lifetime. And here's what else you can like. As the Chiefs are safe, they're in the playoffs, right? So that part you can check off. Stylistically, the matchups the rest of the way all present really interesting challenges for them. The Chargers, in 1,000 ways, is a really interesting challenge for them. Great quarterback, great pass rush. They match up to the deficiencies. Cleveland, kind of the same thing, right? Jameis, if you don't get pressure on Jameis, he's going to shred you up. And if you don't capitalize on the mistakes he makes, you're in big trouble. They got Myles Garrett coming after you. That's a really bad matchup in Cleveland for the Chiefs. Houston, maybe not as much anymore, honestly, but Pittsburgh and Denver are terrible matchups on the road. And I would tell you this, they're 3.5-point favorites against the Chargers, which means on a neutral field, they'd probably be about a pick 'em. They'll be favored against Cleveland. I think they'll be favored against Houston. I'm not sure if they'll be favored at Pittsburgh or at Denver. And if you look at the postseason teams, like, they're not going to go into these games as favorites anymore, at least not heavy favorites like they have been. And so it's all there for them to get better.
They were underdogs throughout the playoffs last year, remember?
Right.
Like, everybody had written them off. And, they were basically, it was underdog a season ago. I don't know if I agree with the fact that they'll be underdogs on the road at Denver.
I don't think they will be, but it's going to be very close. Denver, I'm not, you know how I feel about Denver. I'm not totally sold on Denver. I love this game tonight, but I'm not, I think they're a bad matchup for the Chiefs, but in general, I'm not huge on Denver. But man, some of these other teams and what they do well, it will be. Are you looking at the way Russell Wilson's playing right now? Like, that's a problem for the Chiefs secondary if they don't get a pass rush going there. TJ Watt, I watched that Raiders game and I kept being like, holy hell, what if that's TJ Watt or Bosa or like that? That's all like
Crosby, right? Like,
well, I know that's what I mean. Like, it's going to be that level of a pass rusher, but on a defense that's better everywhere else. And
they cannot get DJ Humphreys ready fast enough. Like, and I don't know. I haven't heard if he's going to be ready to go for the Sunday night game against the Chargers. I know that it's like, I think at least on the table last I saw, it probably will be, I think, either this game or maybe the Cleveland game, but he cannot get game ready quick enough. And honestly, I don't even care if you're 100% game ready. I mentioned this last week, him even coming off the street cold is probably better than what they put out there at left tackle so far this year, because at least you're talking about a former MVP. I know he's coming off of an injury and all of that, whatever. But like, man, it's a major issue. It continues to be, unless like Humphreys can come in and sort of stem that tide a little bit. They've got to try to find other ways to compensate for all of that. And Jawan Taylor had another. Well, yeah, Jawan Taylor had another bad game with penalties and things like that. Like that's gotten worse and worse as the weeks have gone on. That's the craziest thing about all of it, is that the best way to combat that is to establish a running game. And with Isaiah Pacheco coming back, you've got a two-headed monster now that you can do that with. And the Chiefs completely abandoned that. And that does not make any sense to me whatsoever.
The only thing that they can do in the short term is run the ball more. That's it. It's all they can do until they get the reps they need from whoever it is at left tackle. All they can do is run the ball more. You're about to play it, and I know they didn't score a ton of points this weekend, which is just really strange. But you're about to play a team that may not give you the opportunity to run the ball a ton if you don't commit to it early. So that to me becomes the part to watch. And
but
Isaiah Pacheco's helped.
It's not even that. It's that they can commit to the run early. They did against the Raiders.
Right. What I'm saying is, if the defense doesn't help you out, you can't get down 2 scores and then in the second half and commit to the run, is what I'm saying. Like you still have to be able to do what this team did a year ago, which is keep the game close. And that's what's so frustrating about the lack of the run game, is they're all close games. There's not like a game script that's gotten away from them that would tell you abandon the run. And the temptation is they're getting healthier. Mahomes is piling up these numbers. It's fine.
But you've been really good the last few weeks.
You can't have him throw the ball 46 times when both of your tackles suck. Like something bad can happen. Like, you can't do that. And imagine if it wasn't Mahomes with this offensive line. I mean, these teams would have 10 sacks a game.
Yeah.
I mean, half of his battle is avoiding the sack, and that's not conducive. And they all know this. That's what makes it so strange about not running it. But again, they got 5 weeks to figure it out. And the thing that they do better than any team in football, which is win close games, is still there for a team that plays exclusively close games.
I think on top of that, Steve Spagnuolo has to be crossing his fingers that I think it was a knee injury that Ladd McConkey suffered yesterday holds him out of the game this Sunday night.
That'd be handy.
That'd be great, because you're talking about your secondary on McConkey and then Quentin Johnston. And not that Johnston is incredible, but he's come on over the last
much better than he was a year ago.
Better than he was a year ago. But McConkey is fantastic. And if he plays, I don't think that Spagnuolo has a choice. I think you have to put Trent McDuffie on McConkey nonstop. Like, do not let him leave.
I don't know if he's going to. I don't think McDuffie ever goes to the slot like that. That would be interesting.
I don't think you have any other choice. Like, who else are you going to put on him? Do you trust anybody else? Because I certainly don't.
No, at that point you have to trust a pass rush. But again, which has not been good for the Chiefs, right? Look, everything's okay right now. They're not just because they're winning the games. I wouldn't care if they did any of that, because it doesn't change the things that I'm trying to look at when it pertains to these teams. It doesn't matter to me whether they're winning, because if they lost the last 2, I don't think I'd feel any differently. They still do some of the things. It's just, can Humphreys, I mean, I don't want to put it all on Humphreys though, because that's a silly thing to do too.
Gonna have to be, right?
Well, not necessarily, because I think you can do other things to help left tackle besides just switch the left tackle. But that's what comes into the other things we're talking about. Like, they have evolved the passing game to feature these tight ends and make it quicker strike, and it's helped. It has helped. Figure out what you can do in the red zone. Run the dang ball. Isaiah Pacheco's first game back. Look, if it's not Isaiah Pacheco getting all the carries in that game, I'm okay with that. But then Kareem Hunt should still get a bunch of carries in that game. Like, now you've got 2 guys that are both perfectly capable of handling 30 carries collectively a game. Do it. See what happens. Just try it. If the game's close, which they all are, just see what happens. It'll help your defense. It'll help your left tackle.
They're not going to. I mean,
which is so weird, because they did it last year. Last year they ran the ball. I don't understand.
I don't see that happening. Because again, like, they can have a two-headed monster in Hunt and in Pacheco, but you've got to be willing to commit to running it in more situations than just obvious running situations. Second and long doesn't have to mean you're going to throw the ball every single time. Like, I would rather you run the ball in that scenario and take the pressure off of Mahomes. Then it can also set up a better opportunity maybe for play action or something like that at a later point in the game. I just don't see it being, it'd be great if they did. They've got the talent to do it, and everything else is setting up to where it would be advantageous for them to run the ball more with success with two guys that can do it. But if recent history tells me anything, it's not going to happen. So we can talk about it week after week after week, like how great it would be. I just don't see it happening.
So here, going back to last year, you go back to about this time. So if we go back to late November, essentially, here's Pacheco's carry load: 19, 15, 18, 11 was the loss to the Raiders, 18. Then you get to the postseason, 24, 15, 24, and 18. Like, it's not like we have no history of this. The Chiefs did it last year. And so, yeah, the defense isn't as good as it was last year. I get it. Yes, your pass game is much better than it was a year ago. There's no question about that. But it doesn't change the fact that you have the horses in the line back there to do it.
Major difference? What's the major difference is they didn't have pass catchers a year ago.
That's what I'm saying. The major difference is they're tempted
by
knowing they're tempted by knowing now they can really move the ball and do these things. And so just remove the temptation.
Andy Reid is a pass first coach.
Sure he is. And that's okay.
Out of necessity to lean on Isaiah Pacheco, probably significantly more than he was comfortable with a season ago, because there was really no other choice. It's different this year with, acquiring DeAndre Hopkins, and you've got Xavier Worthy, and if Hollywood Brown comes back, and Juju, and like whatever, like you've got the guys where you've got more options to catch the ball. And with Mahomes under center, it doesn't matter to me that you've got the horses. I think it'd be great if they ran the ball to soften up the defense more and to help Mahomes out. I just don't think that that's the identity. Maybe it's the identity of the team, but I don't think that's the identity of their head coach.
It's not. And I don't even care if they were better on the offensive line. I would say, sure, throw it 46 times. Who cares? My concern is throwing it 46 times, which means there are 46 times within a game that you're counting on that left tackle to do his job. 46 times you're counting within every single, of a game that you're counting on that position to do its job. That position hasn't done its job all year. That's my problem with it. It's not that it would make the offense better. I think it would help the defense to some degree, but they're moving the ball, passing the ball. It's more about the risk you're taking and throwing it 46 times that I have an issue with. We'll see. Look, they get a great test on Sunday night. It's going to be a blast. Cannot wait. We'll have much more on that game as we make our way through the week. Let's take a quick break. Plenty of time for your calls here on Sports Daily. We can take them at 869-1240. Let's talk about Crestview Country Club for just a second here. So we made it through the big Thanksgiving holiday, went and had brunch with the family there. I was working TV Thanksgiving Day. It was incredible. Now we switch over to all the Christmas parties that they'll have. All kinds of fun things for Christmas. They'll do brunches there. Then it goes into a big New Year's party. It's all fun. As Crestview, as the weather turns cold, you can still have a lot of fun out there. We appreciate their support of the program. Give them a call. Ask them about all kinds of memberships that they have available for you. When we come back, let's talk a little KU. KU football, KU hoops. We'll get it in. We'll get some Shocker hoops talk in as well before we're done here today. Stick with us at Sports Daily.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12.
Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW.
12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily, and we are glad to be here with you. Tommy, well, let's just call it a wildly disappointing weekend for KU football. And it's a bummer because all of that great momentum and everything that we had going into that, the chance to get back into bowl contention, the chance to wipe out the history and Waco and all of those things comes crashing down in a really, really sad way, honestly. Like it kind of derails, and I don't want to say it erases them finally playing better, but it kind of does. As we're going to look back at this season, all we're going to remember is that they didn't make a bowl game, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, because you're on such a high after the last 3 weeks of defeating ranked opponents back to back to back weeks and playing spoiler, and then you can win one more game on the road at Baylor, which they have a terrible history against Baylor, and especially in Waco they do. To erase all of that, to become bowl eligible, to sort of put, a positive spin on an overall disappointing season. And then you just lay another egg in Waco against Baylor. And, they weren't able to avoid the turnovers. They weren't able to stop Baylor at all, hardly. They were outmatched in that game. And unfortunately, they looked significantly different than the team that had beaten Colorado the week prior and had beaten Iowa State and had beaten, BYU and all of that. So it's disappointing in the way that it all went down for them and the way that they end their season.
What does this mean for them moving forward? I think is the big question now, and it will have to be thought about much earlier than we had hoped. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the prospects for next year are. I would say, like, if we're guessing at things on December 2nd, and we had to guess at where we think KU will be preseason, like where they're preseason ranked, I mean, are you willing to put them in the top half of the Big 12 right now, knowing everything that they lose? I don't know how you can.
No, probably not. And it's way too early to be able to tell, because I think a lot of it's going to hinge on, first off, what Jalen Daniels decides to do. Will he return for another year for Kansas?
Even if he returned, though.
Well, my prediction is that he won't. My prediction is that he'll hit the transfer portal and that Kansas will have a different quarterback starting week 1 of next year. I think the other thing it hinges on for me is, does Lance Leipold make any changes with his coordinators? Another one of my predictions is that they will make a change at defensive coordinator, at least because that's been wildly disappointing in the last few weeks. Jeff Grimes is probably not the long-term answer at offensive coordinator, but it had gotten better. It had gotten improved as the season had gone on. It was the defense that really let Kansas down the stretch. So I think it's really, for me, going to hinge on those 3 things. And until I have more clarity on that, no, I'm not confident in putting Kansas anywhere near the top half of the Big 12.
It's at least they'll have a new stadium, right?
I do think that's something.
It is. It is. It matters. Yep. I'm not.
You can get back to Lawrence. Get this season. Wash it out.
Totally.
Move on. Get back to where you feel more comfortable playing.
That wasn't a joke. That was for real. Like, at least they'll have that next year to sort of, to look forward to, because it's going to take some rebuilding. Can it be done through the portal? Coming into a new stadium? That's the outlier. Well, it doesn't have to be if they're willing to not be good next year, right? If they're willing to program build that way, it doesn't have to be. But how much pressure will there be? And how much, really, it's not even that. It's how much support does the donor base and the university drum up for a good football season? Because you can go replace a bunch of players. Lance Leipold's a great coach. That's on the table. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But it'll be interesting nonetheless. Basketball, Tommy. KU looked fine against Furman. It was an interesting game. KU choosing to not take any threes, basically. That was very strange to watch. I was there with the family, as I mentioned, and my wife she was like, why is Furman making all these threes? Why is KU not taking any threes? And I'm like, well, I don't have a great answer for you to either of those questions. I think, Furman's just shooting it well early here. Tommy, 4 of 17 from 3, and it didn't even feel like they took 17 of them. They just really weren't taking any early on. Zeke Mayo was trying to force it in. They still won 86-51 and flexed on what their situation down low could be. It was all highlight reel, and all that stuff was really good. they're going to have to figure out a way to be more productive shooting the three, I think, by the time conference play rolls around, because you can't out-muscle everybody in the Big 12 every night. I mean, they can, but not every night, 3 times a week or whatever.
I also just wonder, it's a game that KJ Adams led scoring with 22 points.
No answer for him.
That's great. KJ Adams is a great athlete and, has shown his experience and what he brings to the table and all of that. I'm not sure that when you get into conference play, you want KJ Adams to be your leading scorer. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
If he gets that many bunnies, you're fine with it.
Well,
but
right. I think having the offense running through KJ Adams is that's not the way it's going to be in conference play for sure.
Correct.
Because again, Furman didn't have an answer for him. You would like to see your offense coming from other places as well as KJ Adams, right? And having it more spread out and evenly distributed and that sort of thing. But I guess when you're not making your threes, and Adams found a mismatch and was able to get his, that's the way it played out. But I don't think that that's something that we should become accustomed to.
Well, look, Kansas in the first half took 6 threes. They were 0 for 6. And it got much better. It got better. I shouldn't say much better in the second half when they were 4 of 11. They were 0 for 6 from 3 in the first half. That scares me a little bit. Because the reality is you brought in Mayo, you brought in Storr, you brought in Griffin, you brought in Coit, right? You brought in 4 guys who are part of the main rotation right now, all of whom are supposed to be able to shoot the 3. And then you get whatever you're going to get from DeJuan Harris. That's kind of it. Right now, those guys I just mentioned were a collective 2 of 12 from 3 against Furman. And so that's the part for me where I'm like, okay, at some point, this collection of shooters that they basically brought in the portal just needs to shoot the ball better. I think Furman did. Furman didn't do a lot of things well. They didn't have a lot of just like wide open looks from 3, and they had a ton of wide open looks down low. So Furman played its role in that. I guess Furman didn't want to.
I also don't think that we can take the one game of those 4 guys shooting 2 of 12 and, start to apply it that there are concerns about the 3-point shooting, because you look at like David Coit, for example, he's shooting 45% on the season from 3. AJ Storr is shooting 42% on the season from 3. So, those guys are doing what they need to do. And even what, a little bit further down, it's not outstanding, but Rylan Griffin is shooting 35%, Zeke Mayo shooting 32%. Like the guys, they're getting theirs for the most part. It was a bad shooting night for sure against Furman, something that I think will,
And it was a great shooting night against Duke, to be fair. Great.
Sure,
they shot 50% basically. But they only took 17 of them. And I guess that's the question. Like, are we comfortable with, less than 23s basically in a game for Kansas? And we'll talk to Shreyas Laddha, who's into all the analytics, and I know he doesn't like that. But look, they beat Furman by 30, and Furman didn't have to, right? It was too easy down low for them. And I totally get that. I just, it makes me wonder a little bit aloud here, like when push comes to shove and they get into a situation, are they ever going to be able to be comfortable in a game where they got to take 25 threes or whatever it is? And I don't know the answer to that yet, because it doesn't, like again, just to my eye, it didn't look like they had a lot of open opportunities from 3. And I don't know if that's the way Furman defended them, but why would Furman defend them that way? You know what I mean? Like, you just watched the Duke game. Yeah, they shot the 3 well, but they only took 17 threes. It's not like that's what KU does. And they just kept letting them get easy buckets down low. We'll see. It's hard to take much away from a game like that. Up next is Creighton, which should be, far more competitive. They go Creighton in Omaha, and then they go to a true road game at Missouri, which should be a lot of fun. They don't come back home here for another just about 2 weeks when they get NC State. Then they get a cupcake against Brown, and then we're in Big 12 play. So Creighton, Missouri, NC State, bring all that on. That's going to be fun. And I think that is something to watch, though. Like, here's my point. Is there any concern KU is going to be good down low? No. Right? They're not going to. They're going to be great down low.
Yeah.
So I would just like to, see them work on shooting some threes here a little bit, because we know that
perfectly fine. I think they had an off night. against Furman for
It's
sure.
not.
but I think
It's
they
not
win
even the
there,
Furman
okay.
thing. That's not what I mean. It's not the Furman thing. It's just that they're not taking a ton, and I
don't think they have to take a ton. Like that's the thing. I think that they don't have to take a ton because they're so great down low. I don't think that can be a compliment to the game. And Bill Self, I think, is one of the best coaches at playing inside out. And when there are situations,
he's the best. He's the best.
When there are situations that present themselves to take the three, I'm good. I'm good with that.
That's
They've
the,
got the
I mean,
players to
that's
be able to
the
make that
Duke
happen.
formula.
I just don't think that they need to run down the court and fire up threes all the time. That's
No.
not really the-
That's
Sorry,
not what I'm saying at all. I don't mean that
you
either.
said they don't take enough threes. I don't think that they.
I don't think
need to-
firing them up at large is the way to go. What I mean is like they made their shots against Duke. If they don't, but they shot 50% to do it. Duke was the great matchup. If they shoot 45-50% on 17, 18 threes, then heck yeah, I'm great. I mean, if that's the case, then they're in business. But what if they shoot more like 35%? I think that's the question. We're not going to know until they play Big 12 play. Probably, we've got a magnifying glass on a team to me that is really, 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 really good, and that's all it is, right? We're just trying to get this team. What's the expectation for this team? It's to win a national championship. So we're just looking at the little things here. KU looks outstanding. They look healthy. They've got 3 weapons down low. They got a myriad of weapons out there. Dwan Harris can play every minute of a game. Like, you feel great about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm wondering if that's the way they play all the way through, where they just don't take a lot of them. Because that's what happened last year. The only reason I think about it is because that's the way it was last year, and they needed it more last year probably than they will this year. But they haven't really changed a lot down low. I have to imagine in the Big 12 they're going to be forced to take threes because those teams aren't going to let them dominate them down low.
I think you're right by that. I also think that they have the personnel to be able to make those threes when it matters. And the Duke game proved that to me for sure.
Yeah, certainly more so than they did a year ago. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, what do we make of the shocker game against Florida? Derailing all the momentum, or meh, whatever, move on with our lives? We'll get into that when we return. It's Albrecht and Castor at Sports Daily. Don't go away. We're coming right back.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Daily. Quick shout out. Shocker Volleyball playing SMU in the NCAA tournament. We'll get more on that later in the week, but we do know now where they're going after their nice run at home through the conference tournament. Let's talk Shocker Hoops, Tommy. It was a wild win against Minnesota on Thanksgiving morning-ish. A game-winning shot potentially for Minnesota hits the rim 4 times and does not go in. Shockers played all right, I would say, in that one, but they got the win, so we feel good about it. Then comes the Florida game. And I was watching most of this, as much as I could. Tommy, they were good for about the first 13 minutes of that game. And then, man, it spiraled out of control quickly. You go back, they were down 3 with 7:26 left to go in the first half. They did not score again in the first half, and it's just turnover, block, whatever it is, and then they could not ever get back into the game at that point. But for 13 minutes, I thought they looked kind of good, right? Everything was like, okay, they're hanging. Man, that got away quickly, and I think Florida's really good.
Yeah, I mean, things snowballed out of control really quickly for Wichita State, and I think part of that is psychological. You get down, you can't see the ball go in the hoop, you turn the ball over, all of that. And then all of a sudden you've got a really, really good team and they start to pile it on. And it's really hard to pull out from that. The other thing,
7.5 minutes of a calf without scoring is hard
to come back from. It's hard to come back from. The other thing too, I agree with you. I think Florida is really, really good. I think they'll end up probably a top 10 team in the nation come March would be my guess. they just absolutely pushed Wichita State around. Like, they were so physical. That was unlike any team that Wichita State has played up to this point, or that they will face, I think, at all for the remainder of the season. So I think it's it could be a really good thing. I hope, that Wichita State played a team like that, because they kind of saw what it was like to be out physical and pushed around and, all of that. So they can hopefully take that back and be able to say, we're not going to let that happen again with any other team as the season goes on, because it was borderline embarrassing. It really was, just the way that they were pushed around. And again, there's a really important thing that can happen. It can go one way or the other. Either the Shockers retreat internally and they get in their heads about it and things start to spiral. Remember last season, they started 7-1 a season ago, and then they went on that long losing streak and it was bad for quite a while. They could do that again. I hope they don't, because then they could take this game against Florida and they could file it away and they could say, we're not going to let what happened last year happen again. We're going to make sure we're not out-toughed by any other team at any point during the remainder of this season.
I would tell you this too. Like, what I didn't like is that they came out in the second half and still weren't able to score for another 3 minutes. They went almost 10 game minutes without scoring any points. That's the part that you don't like, but how they respond to it becomes the important thing. Did anybody think they were going to beat Florida? Because I didn't think they were going to beat Florida. I don't think so.
I didn't think they were going to lose by 48 points.
Well, no, nope, I didn't either. But what I mean is, like, how they respond to that punch in the mouth becomes critical. That was by far, not even close, the best team they have seen this season. And probably, no offense to Memphis, by far the best team they will perhaps see all year in the regular season. Memphis is good. Memphis, I don't think, is that good. And again, no offense to them, but that is a really, really stinking good team. And you're starting to see that be reflected in places and where they're put and all these things. So now they'll get a pretty good game against DePaul before that K-State game. Obviously, the K-State game will be good. You got two more pretty much on par test, because I don't think it's crazy to think of K-State as on par yet. We'll see how that goes out. But even if you took that one out, they'll be heavy favorites against Alcorn State, East Tennessee State, and Kansas City and friends. So we're going to learn about this team. Let's see how they respond. I'm not discouraged. I would put it that way. I'm not discouraged after the Florida game. I think they just got their butts kicked.
Yeah, I think you can be disappointed in the margin and not discouraged. I'm not discouraged either. I think that it's going to tell us a lot about their resiliency and how they bounce back after kind of a humbling game against Florida in that tournament. How do you come back? How do you respond after that? I think is going to be the true test of this team.
You got a home game against a bad team, take it to them. That's how you should respond. We'll have more on that tomorrow and Wednesday on Game Day. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up, tell you what's on the network tonight when we finish Sports Daily next.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Well, that's it for us. How about Texas, Tommy, in the SEC championship game in its first year in the SEC? Pretty much tells us the Big 12's best team and best conference in the country, right?
Hey, if you want to make that claim, that's fine by me. I'll take it.
You got Monday Night Football tonight. Browns, Broncos. Westwood One coverage begins here at 6:30. If you missed anything with us, don't forget you can podcast the show. It's a fun way to listen to it. Go back and listen to it at your convenience. Just download the Odyssey app and do it. For Tommy, for Jad, I'm Jacob. We'll see you tomorrow.